Libra, my dear seeker of balance and truth, let me ask you something powerful right at the beginning. What happens when the old house of your life begins to fall apart? When the walls that once sheltered your peace start to crack, not from weakness, but because your soul has outgrown them? This is not destruction. This is divine reconstruction. And this video, right here, is the sacred moment when you finally understand why certain things had to end so that justice, abundance, and peace could finally return to you. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where every message is more than a prediction. It's a spiritual conversation between your soul and the universe. If you've landed here today, I want you to know it isn't random. Algorithms didn't bring you, destiny did. Your higher self has guided you exactly where you need to be, at the precise time you are ready to hear this truth. This November, cosmic forces are rearranging the architecture of your life. Venus, your ruling planet, is moving into a sacred dialogue with Saturn and Jupiter, activating a rare energy of karmic justice and emotional cleansing. It's as if heaven itself is shaking the foundations of your world, not to punish you, but to free you. I can sense it in your vibration. Something within you is trembling, a structure is loosening, an illusion is breaking open. And through that divine rupture, light is entering. I see it clearly, a symbolic image of an old house, its roof trembling, the walls whispering the stories of all you've endured. Then, a golden light breaks through, illuminating every hidden corner. This is the hand of God, removing the pieces that no longer protect your spirit. Nothing collapses without reason, Libra. Every ending is a preparation for your resurrection. Before we begin, take a deep breath. Place your hand gently over your heart, and repeat softly with me, I am ready to see the truth. I am ready to let the light of God reveal what I've been afraid to face. Feel that? That's not coincidence. That's your confirmation. If you feel this message resonating, write in the comments right now to anchor your intention. I claim my connection and welcome the blessings of November. Your words are not mere sentences, they are spiritual activations. When you declare them, you open an energetic doorway that allows miracles to move through your life. Let me take a moment to say from the depths of my heart, thank you. Thank you for being here, for every like, every comment, every subscription that expands this family of light known as Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Your support doesn't just grow this channel, it fuels the mission to bring transformative, faith-filled messages to souls around the world. You are part of that mission, and I feel your energy here with me, right now. And believe me, Libra, you will want to stay with me until the very end of this reading, because what the universe is revealing today is nothing short of breathtaking. The messages that are unfolding for you hold both truth and healing, challenge and reward. There are moments ahead that will ask you to release, to forgive, and to stand tall in your divine authority. But there will also be proof, tangible proof that when you act with faith and integrity, heaven responds. This isn't just another horoscope reading. This is an awakening. A guide. A living testimony that miracles still happen every day through you, for you, and within you. This space is where astrology meets prayer, where the law of attraction meets the grace of God, and where divine timing finally makes sense. So stay with me, Libra. Let's walk together through the ruins of the old house and discover the foundation that was waiting beneath it all along, the foundation of justice, abundance, and peace. At the end of this journey, you'll understand why the fall was necessary and how the collapse of what once was has already begun building what you've prayed for all along. Now, take another deep breath. Trust the process. And tell me, my loyal Libra souls, what do you think drew you here today? What silent calling, what unseen force, whispered your name and led you to this moment? Comment below and let me know. Because when you speak it, you affirm it and the universe listens. There's a quiet truth that every Libra must face at some point in life. Balance is not born from perfection, it is forged through the collapse of what no longer serves you. When I say, the old house must fall so that justice can return, I'm not only referring to external structures like relationships, careers, or possessions. I'm speaking about the subtle architecture of your beliefs, the patterns you've built to feel safe, the expectations you've accepted to keep the peace, and the walls you've erected to protect a heart that simply wanted harmony. This is the month when those inner structures begin to tremble, not because you've done something wrong, but because your soul is outgrowing its shelter. Astrologically, this moment is beautifully aligned. Mercury moves through your 8th house, the sector of hidden truths, psychological depth, and rebirth. When Mercury visits this space, it doesn't whisper, it reveals. Secrets surface, misunderstandings unravel, and anything built on illusion can no longer sustain its weight. This isn't punishment, it's purification. In the same way that an old tree must shed its leaves to welcome spring, you are being asked to release the narratives that no longer nourish your growth. The discomfort you feel is not a sign of failure, it's the sensation of light entering spaces that have been dark for too long. Think of the house as both literal and symbolic. Maybe it's the routine that keeps you busy but unfulfilled. Maybe it's a relationship that no longer reflects your truth, or a financial pattern that drains your sense of worth. In every sense, that structure has become too small for who you are becoming. When I look at Libra's chart this month, I see the presence of Saturn acting as the wise architect, asking you to examine the foundation, your values, your principles, your sense of justice. Saturn doesn't destroy, it rebuilds with integrity. He asks, what will you choose to keep, and what will you finally let go? You may notice people revealing their true colors now. The phrase, someone will be caught, isn't about vengeance, it's about awareness. Deception, whether from others or from self-denial, cannot survive in the vibration of truth. This exposure is your liberation. You are reclaiming pieces of your energy that were once lost in confusion, manipulation, or fear. Once you see clearly, no one can take advantage of you again in the same way. That is what divine justice looks like in human form, not dramatic punishment, but the quiet empowerment that comes from clarity. And when this happens, Libra, something remarkable begins to stir inside you. You'll feel lighter, freer, even if at first it feels uncertain. The universe never removes without replacing, it only clears space for what is more aligned. The crumbling of the old house makes room for a sturdier one, built on honesty, respect, and self-worth. Imagine it, beams of transparency, windows of compassion, and walls grounded in faith that life is always conspiring in your favor. There's a gentle reminder here that justice isn't an external decree, it begins with self-honesty. When you stop protecting what is false, when you stop excusing what exhausts your peace, you allow real harmony to return. That's the spiritual essence of Libra, equilibrium through truth. Every act of honesty you choose, no matter how small, is a sacred act of rebuilding. Even in your daily life, this energy encourages small, practical steps. Cleaning a drawer, reorganizing your workspace, simplifying your finances, all these actions mirror the larger clearing happening in your spirit. As you bring order to your environment, your mind follows, and clarity becomes your natural state again. Take this as a quiet invitation to trust the process. Sometimes divine timing feels like chaos before it reveals its symmetry. In the same way a farmer must till the soil before planting, your current upheaval is loosening what has hardened so that new life can take root. Remember, justice doesn't rush, it restores in perfect sequence. So as you move through this month, hold this truth close. You are not losing anything that was truly meant for you. What's leaving is the weight of what was borrowed, imposed, or outdated. And in that emptying, you are being filled again with balance, clarity, and a renewed sense of purpose. That is the true meaning of the fall of the old house site is not an ending, Libra. It is the divine act of giving you back to yourself. There's something almost poetic about the moment when life asks you to rebuild. It's never loud or sudden, it begins as a whisper, a quiet realization that the walls you've leaned on no longer feel solid, that the rhythm you've lived by no longer fits the pace of your heart. Libra, this is where you stand now, not at the end of something, but at the sacred threshold between what was and what's becoming. The universe isn't asking you to panic or rush to replace what's fallen. It's inviting you to rebuild with awareness, to choose every new beam, every belief, every boundary with purpose. This rebuilding is not an act of survival. It's an act of self-respect. When I say, start from the foundation, I mean more than reorganizing your schedule or balancing your checkbook. I mean going to the root of what has been silently draining you. As an astrologer, I see that this phase aligns beautifully with Saturn's influencia planet that teaches us the wisdom of structure, accountability, and patience. Saturn doesn't strip away without reason. It clears space for discipline to meet grace. And that's where you are being called, to rebuild a life that no longer operates from fear, but from conscious order. Fear protects for a moment, structure protects for a lifetime. Begin with boundaries, not as fences that keep the world out, but as the architecture that defines your peace. When you sit down to write 3 things that exhaust you, but emotional labor, imbalance in partnerships, or the quiet habit of saying yes when your soul screams no, you are reclaiming ownership of your energy. Putting those truths into words changes their vibration. A thought is passive, a written word becomes law. Writing is how you tell the universe, I mean it this time. Next, let's look at your relationship with money, because financial patterns are often the mirrors of our emotional world. Money is energy neutral, responsive, alive. When it leaks away unnoticed, it's rarely about carelessness, it's about where attention has gone missing. Creating transparency by tracking expenses, setting up safeguards, and holding yourself accountable is not about control, but partnership. Every transaction becomes a message that says, I am aware. I am responsible. I am ready to be trusted with more. The act of managing your finances mindfully is a spiritual discipline disguised as practicality. It's where abundance stops being an accident and starts becoming your standard. Then there's your physical space. Clutter is not just mess, it's memory that has overstayed its welcome. The 27-item ritual, removing 27 things that no longer serve a purpose, is more than minimalism. It's a declaration that you are no longer a museum of the past. As you release each object, you're symbolically making room for clarity, peace, and new opportunities. Think of it as dusting the corners of your soul. Once you remove the old energy, inspiration rushes in effortlessly, like light into a freshly cleaned window. Even color carries power this month. Shades of turquoise and silver are not chosen for aesthetic alone, they resonate with transparency and purification. Wearing or surrounding yourself with these colors aligns your energy field with clarity, honesty, and equilibrium. The numerological vibration of 8 supports this process. In numerology, 8 is the cycle of sowing and reaping, the law of return. What you plant through discipline, you will harvest through reward. This number reminds you that life is exquisitely fair. It returns in measure to the effort you invest with integrity. Through all of this, remember that renewal is not punishment for letting something break, it's permission to create differently. The collapse you experienced was simply the universe's way of saying, there's a sturdier version of you waiting to be built. It's easy to resist change when you're tired, but resistance costs more energy than acceptance ever will. The true art of rebuilding lies in gentleness, small, consistent acts of alignment that become unshakable over time. And perhaps, as you reconstruct your inner and outer world, you might recall that even in the most ordinary days, grace finds its way in. Just as a weary traveler stops for water and finds it already poured, so too does life tend to those who rebuild with faith. You don't have to call it divine intervention, call it timing, call it cause and effect, call it the quiet intelligence of the universe. The label doesn't matter. What matters is your willingness to trust that the same force that allowed things to fall apart will also guide you toward the right materials to build again. So, Libra, take your time. Rebuild with tenderness. Don't rush to restore what no longer fits. Write your boundaries as promises, manage your resources with respect, cleanse your space like an act of devotion. Each small step is a brick laid by your higher self, and before long, you'll find that what stands in place of the old house isn't just stronger, it finally feels like home. What if justice wasn't just a moral idea, but a rhythm that the universe uses to keep everything in balance? Libra, for you, justice is not only about right and wrong, it's about alignment. This is the part of your story where theory becomes practice, where cosmic principles meet human action. You've already faced the collapse of the old structure, and you've begun rebuilding the foundation of your inner and outer life. Now comes the next step, translating that inner clarity into practical, grounded order. Because in this world, faith and follow-through must walk hand in hand. Think of this moment as a mirror between heaven and earth. On the spiritual plane, you've already been realigned with truth, but in the material world, that alignment must show up in how you manage your time, your resources, and your attention. Justice, after all, is not only about being right, it's about doing right. When Saturn takes center stage in your chart, it becomes the great teacher, guiding you to express faith through responsibility. Saturn doesn't punish, it refines. It brings back to you exactly what your choices have created, not to judge, but to remind you that every thought and action holds weight in the architecture of your destiny. Imagine taking 90 minutes just 9 to perform what I call your energetic audit. It's not glamorous, but it's sacred work. Go through your recent statements, look at where your energy and money have gone, and ask yourself, does this reflect the person I'm becoming? Awareness itself is healing. Each transaction, each habit, each unchecked subscription is a thread in the tapestry of your energetic story. Mark what doesn't feel aligned. Change the passwords that tie you to old versions of yourself. Set up alerts, not because you expect loss, but because you're learning to protect what you've built. This is what real-world consciousness looks like. It's not mystical, it's mindful. And when you find inconsistencies or places where something doesn't add up, treat it not as a crisis, but as revelation. Freezing a compromised account, demanding accountability, or correcting an imbalance isn't about fear, it's about declaring, I honor my energy. You're not punishing anyone. You're simply ensuring that what flows through your life matches your current vibration. Justice, in this sense, becomes an act of love. Love for your stability, love for your growth, love for the order that supports your peace of mind. Now, take a closer look at the flow itself. Money, like water, follows intention. When it is respected, it circulates. When it's ignored, it evaporates. The simple formula of 70/20/10 is not just financial advice, it's energetic wisdom. 70% for your daily living grounds you in the present. 20% for goals honors your future self. And that final 10%, the portion for generosity and grace, keeps the current alive. There's a quiet truth hidden there. When you give from faith, life multiplies your return not as a transaction, but as a reflection. The energy of giving tells the universe that you trust abundance enough to release it, and in doing so, you become a channel rather than a container. If you've been feeling that things have been delayed or slow to manifest, understand that Saturn's timing is never cruel, it's exact. It waits for you to build something strong enough to last. When you choose discipline over distraction, clarity over comfort, the universe takes note. Rewards arrive not as surprises, but as confirmations. That's how delayed blessings work. They were never denied, only waiting for the right alignment. As you move through this month, pay attention to the weekly rhythm that unfolds. The first week brings awareness. Truth will surface where there has been fog. In the second week, you'll make necessary cuts, end old agreements, or redefine your commitments. By the third week, you begin to reclaim what was withheld, an overdue payment, an apology, or even your confidence. And by the fourth week, new contracts, new habits, and new opportunities start to seal your growth. This is not coincidence, it's cause and effect in divine timing. Take all of this as gentle evidence that spiritual maturity shows up through practical order. Even in scripture and stories of everyday faith, miracles often follow structure, an action, a boundary, a simple act of consistency that invites grace to move. The same is true here. Justice in your life won't descend from the clouds, it will grow from the soil of your daily choices. So don't be afraid to bring your faith into form. Audit your energy, guard your peace, manage your flow. Because when order and integrity meet, abundance has no choice but to return home. Sometimes, the most profound changes do not begin in the world outside of you, Libra, but within the walls of your own heart. After the rebuilding of structure and the awakening of justice, the next lesson is tenderness, the art of allowing peace to return to your emotional home. You may find that people from your past reappear, not as tests, but as reflections. Those who once doubted your worth might now see it clearly. Those who walked away may circle back, sensing the shift in your vibration. But this time, the story feels different. You are no longer a guest waiting for permission to belong. You are the homeowner of your emotional space, deciding who enters and who stays. Forgiveness becomes the quiet masterpiece of this season. It isn't about forgetting, and it certainly isn't about reopening old doors. It's about clearing the table of resentment so that peace has somewhere to sit. Forgiveness is not an act of surrender, it's an act of sovereignty. It's saying, I release what once bound me, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve freedom. This is emotional maturity at its highest expression. You don't forgive to invite someone back. You forgive to make room for your own healing. When you choose peace over pride, you begin to hear life whisper again. Astrologically, Venus, the planet that rules both your sign and the heart, takes center stage this month, softening what Saturn's discipline may have hardened. Venus reminds you that beauty cannot bloom in a clenched fist. This influence brings opportunities to reconnect, but it also tests whether you've learned to honor balance in love. True connection cannot exist without equality. True love cannot breathe where manipulation or guilt linger. So when an old chapter reopens, listen closely to what your intuition says before your emotions speak. If the interaction feels peaceful, it's a sign of closure. If it stirs anxiety, it's a reminder that you've already graduated from that lesson. This period is also one of deep emotional recalibration. You might notice a pull towards simplicity-less drama, more calm. This is not withdrawal, it's wisdom. Your soul no longer needs noise to feel alive. It longs for gentle mornings, meaningful conversation, and honesty that doesn't exhaust you. Reclaiming your emotional home often begins with small rituals. Writing 3 lines of gratitude each morning trains your heart to focus on abundance, not absence. Gentle meditations, calming music at 432 Hz, or even mindful breathing before sleep can help release the tension of overthinking. And what you feed your body matters too. Foods rich in greens and oranges, spinach, pumpkin, citrus balance your emotional center, supporting both heart and stomach, the 2 organs most affected by stress in Libra. Less caffeine, more warmth, fewer quick fixes, more intentional choices. This is also a month to notice divine reciprocity in action. The quiet good you've done, the patience, the empathy, the unspoken prayers returns to you, often through unexpected hands. Justice doesn't always arrive as a verdict. Sometimes it comes as kindness, as recognition, or as a long-awaited sense of relief. The energy you've poured into others now finds its way back, multiplied. You're being reminded that compassion isn't weakness, it's a currency that never loses value. Even in the busiest lives, there are moments when grace breaks through the noise. It may appear as a comforting message, a reconciliation that brings peace rather than pain, or a sudden realization that you've outgrown your old battles. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. When you live with integrity, life aligns itself to support you. Think of them as small modern miracles, not supernatural, but perfectly natural expressions of balance returning where imbalance once ruled. So, Libra, as your heart resets its rhythm, approach each connection with gentleness and awareness. Let gratitude be your anchor and honesty your filter. Let love be something you choose with clarity, not something you chase out of habit. Remember, peace is not a gift you wait for, it's a garden you tend daily. Each act of kindness, each boundary respected, each moment of quiet reflection rebuilds that inner sanctuary. And as you keep it open for light, you'll find that your emotional home doesn't just shelter you, it becomes a beacon, guiding others who are still searching for their way back to peace. Every change begins with a small act of alignment, and for you, Libra, this part of the journey is about transforming faith into motion. The universe can open doors, but it's your steps that walk through them. This is where divine order meets your discipline, the moment when clarity turns into creation. The rituals and actions you take in the next 72 hours will not just shift circumstances around you, they'll rewrite the frequency of what you attract. Start by understanding the symbolism behind these actions. Changing your passwords or activating two-factor authentication might seem purely technical, but energetically, it's the moment you close the door to the old vibrations that once drained you. It says, "I protect my peace now." This is not paranoia, it's consciousness. It's you signaling to life that you no longer leave open channels for confusion or loss. When you organize, secure, and account for your resources, you are teaching the world how to respect your boundaries. Reviewing your past 90 days of spending is not about guilt, it's about awareness. Each transaction tells a story about what you valued, feared, or believed you deserved. When you look closely, you'll begin to see where energy leaked not just through money, but through attention and emotion. By identifying those leaks, you stop repeating the patterns that allowed them. Justice in the material realm is restored the moment awareness meets accountability. Reaching out to clarify or reclaim your rights, whether through an email or conversation, is an act of truth. It's you taking back the narrative of your worth. When you insist on transparency, you're not being demanding, you're being aligned. The same applies to the financial partnerships in your life. Requiring shared approval, written agreements, or dual acknowledgement is not control, it's balance. These are the structures through which Libra finds peace, mutual respect, clear energy exchange, and the freedom that comes from knowing everything stands in the light. And then there's the ritual of release, removing 27 objects that no longer serve you. Each discarded item becomes a metaphor for one door opening. This practice isn't just physical cleansing, it's symbolic exhalation. By clearing, you make space for blessings that have been waiting for somewhere to land. You cannot receive when your hands are still full of what has expired. The declarations that follow are your personal contracts with the universe. When you write, "I do not accept anything that costs me my peace," you aren't rejecting people, you're refining permission. Peace becomes your currency. Repeating affirmations 3 times a day activates consistency, not magic. It reminds your subconscious of who you are and what you allow. The more you speak these words with presence, the faster your outer world begins to mirror them. The 3-night candle and salt ritual adds an anchor to this process. The candle represents consciousness, the inner flame that never goes out. The salt purifies stagnation, while the water absorbs what no longer belongs in your field. Pouring that water out each morning is an act of renewal, a literal shedding of yesterday's weight. It's not superstition, it's symbolism made tangible, a way of partnering with your environment to embody change. Through all these steps, one truth threads them together: faith without movement remains potential, but faith expressed through action becomes power. Every list, every cleanup, every affirmation is a vote for your future. Even simple consistency is a form of prayer, one that says, "I believe enough to prepare." And as you do, something subtle yet unmistakable begins to happen. Circumstances respond. Opportunities that once seemed closed reopen. Relationships align in healthier patterns. The tide of your finances and peace begins to flow back home. So take these 72 hours as a sacred appointment with your destiny. Do each step with mindfulness, not urgency. Let every motion be a quiet declaration that your life now operates in clarity, honesty, and grace. Remember, Libra, faith is not waiting, it's walking. Each time you act with integrity and intention, you are telling the universe, "I'm ready for what's already mine." Libra, my dear one, the collapse you just lived through was never a punishment, it was preparation. The walls that fell were not your failures, but your liberation. Sometimes, divine order begins with disruption, because only when everything shakes can truth finally stand where it belongs. You are not the victim of broken structures, you are the builder of new ones. This November, you are being called not to wait for justice, but to become it, to embody clarity, to walk in integrity, and to stand so firmly in your worth that even uncertainty bows before you. Think about it. How many times have you dimmed your light to keep the peace? How often have you mistaken patience for silence, or kindness for weakness? Those days are ending. You are now standing in the architecture of your new life, one that is built not on illusion, but on truth, not on pleasing others, but on honoring your soul. The universe has been clearing space not to punish you, but to give you room to breathe again, to reclaim the time, energy, and dignity that were always yours. Justice has never forgotten you. It was simply waiting for you to remember yourself. If you have ever felt robbed of money, of trust, of peace, or of your own faith in goodness, I want you to know that nothing was truly lost. Energy never disappears. It only waits to be reclaimed by the one who has finally learned how to hold it. You, Libra, are that person now. Every truth you've spoken, every tear you've shed, every boundary you've honored, these are the materials with which your new foundation is being built. And it's stronger, clearer, and more blessed than anything that came before. Now I want to invite you to do something powerful. Write this in the comments, not for me, but for yourself. I am rebuilding my foundation. My money, my honor, and my peace return home to me now. When you write it, you activate it. Words are seeds, intention is water. Together, they grow into reality. This is not superstition, it's alignment. You are declaring to life that you are ready to receive what has always belonged to you. And as you do, take a moment to pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what am I ready to stop carrying? What am I finally ready to claim? Because this month isn't just about outer justice, it's about inner balance. It's about remembering that fairness begins within you, not outside you. The more you live in truth, the more life mirrors it back. The more you give your energy to what is pure, the more grace multiplies around you. If this message touched your heart, stay with me until the end, because something within you is already awakening. Like a compass finding north, your soul knows the way. All it needed was your permission to move. And if you felt that spark, that little pulse of knowing while listening, that's your sign that you're aligned with this moment for a reason. Before you go, I want to take a quiet moment to say thank you for your presence, your faith, and your energy. Every like, every comment, every share doesn't just support this channel, it helps the light spread farther. You're not just watching, you're part of the movement of awakening souls that believe balance, beauty, and justice are still alive in this world. So if this message resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and share it with someone who may need a reminder that light still wins. Your energy keeps this circle alive, and your growth inspires others to rise with you. Libra, you are no longer standing in the ruins. You are standing in the blueprint of something holy, the house of truth, built by your courage. So walk forward, not as someone waiting for miracles, but as someone who has become one. The universe is waiting on your next move, and justice divine, perfect, undeniable is already on its way home to you.